And as you invite that into your life, it can and will transform even the way in which you live as a person. And that happens without you thinking that you need to transform yourself. A transformation happens even to the person, although the person obviously will always have certain limitations. You are good at this, but you're not good at that, and so on. The person obviously cannot be perfect. There's always certain characteristics that define a person. It has form. That's understood. But that dimension, as you access that, flows into the conditioned entity that we call the person, and can use the personal mind and express itself through that. In other words, inspiration will happen more easily. Intuition happens more easily. A creative ability develops more easily. Obviously, you need to have some mastery, some expertise in some fields. Then it can this creative energy from the unconditioned realm of being or consciousness can flow into what you do and transform and empower it. Of course, you need to already, in the case of activity, you need to have already developed something that it can flow into. In my case, it cannot flow into becoming a fantastic swimmer or tennis player. It's not going to happen. It's not going to empower me on that level. And it's too late for that. Nor is it going to come up in me with the creative realization, finding the unified field theory in physics that Einstein unsuccessfully looked for. The unified field theory is not going to come through this mind, because the mind, this is not, it has not developed that particular avenue through which spirit or consciousness could express itself creatively. But it is expressing itself creatively through these words. So not through nuclear physics or sports. In the case of this particular person, or whatever it may be, where people develop the great new, like Elon Musk, the latest thing about electric cars or whatever. I'm not going to be able to do that. This is not how the creative energy can express itself through me, nor I'm going to be a great dancer. It's much too late for that too. But you might. Or it might not be express itself in any of those ways too. It is possible that as you access that dimension, the power of now, as you access that dimension within yourself, it may not even express itself through some creative endeavor. It could be something else. It could be the way in which you relate to other humans. Changes, it affects everybody that you come in contact with. Perhaps you carry on with an ordinary activity, and yet a new energy comes into that. Let's say you have the simplest possible job. Let's say you're at a toll bridge where you have to pay. This came to mind just now because some time ago I was at a toll bridge where you drive there, you have to pay to use the road. It's toll, it's called. So you have to stop the car. And there's a man or woman in a little booth, and he or she says, $1, please, or whatever, and then you give. And there was one, I don't remember where it was. That person everybody felt better after paying the $1 because she was so present, and there was an energy flowing through her that every person who went through, I imagine, must have felt better because that brief interaction. There was an outflow of loving kindness, metta, loving kindness, that comes out of bliss. This is another way in which presence manifests itself in this dimension. I've already mentioned creative things. Creative endeavor can empower many things that you do, or it may just manifest itself as what we could call loving kindness that flows through you as you go about your normal business. Perhaps you haven't developed any particular avenue through which presence could express itself creatively, whatever it may be, sports, dance, science, musical instrument, all the various things. Maybe you haven't developed, maybe you could still develop it or not. It doesn't matter. In some way, presence will use you as a channel, and then something will flow through you into this dimension. And it could be just your presence itself can be a powerful tool of transformation in this dimension, so that this loving kindness flows through you into this world that affects everybody you come into contact with. So who knows how this will transform the way in which you experience life, but it will transform it. So when you bring together the human and the being, instead of just being a human, it's not enough being a human. It's a terrible fate if you only know yourself as a human. You have, in other words, zero self-transcendence. You are trapped in this limited little self. And even the big egos, they're little selves. If the egos, there are some people who seem to have achieved much in this world only through having a huge ego. That is possible, but the achievements are really not achievements at all, because they make countless people unhappy. So there's no point in building up some huge enterprise. And while you're doing it, you're not only unhappy yourself, you make everybody else unhappy too. That does not transform this world.